good evening. My name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at the weekly energies for what will be your daily Monday musings. Now I say what will be your daily Monday musings is because actually I'm recording this video on Friday, and I do believe, yes, right at the moment almost, give or take a few minutes, of the new moon in Taurus, which I kind of knew but hadn't quite clicked. And that feels like key for the energy next week or this week, wherever we may find ourselves. We're aware of things, but certain aspects need time to click into place. Certain aspects need time for completion before they can go on their new part of the journey. A classic example, my neighbour, my dog just stood at the door because he knew there was someone outside. And my neighbour has finally just completed the house sale and exchanged keys today, and that's been an ongoing process for them, taking quite a bit of repair, quite a bit of red tape, political process for themselves and for those that they were selling the house to and the estate agents. And you know, I say political because it's a listed building, so there was a lot there in regards to rendering the house and treating the mold, and yeah, a lot that needed to be sorted. And that feels like the energy for whenever it is you watch this. Basically, whether it's next week, the week after, whenever that may be, which feels like a real pivotal moment to recognise where we are. So when I did tune into the new moon in Taurus a few weeks back, a week or so back, I could have written a blog there and then, and I needed to wait for certain aspects to fall into place in order to get all the information. It now feels different. Now I'm actually in the new moon energy. It feels different. It feels as if I'm able to navigate what was, what is, and what is to become, as long as I remain grounded, which feels like key. So this week, really looking at things that need completion, recognizing they are part of beginnings, the endings that need to come into play. No matter how frustrating or how surprising they may be, they are all part of the bigger picture, but being very grounded in the information that wants to come through and in the guidance that wants to be seen. So with that in mind, I'm totally getting out of the way of what I thought was going to come up for today or next week. And I really need to get that out of the way. Let's get the whole concept of timing out of the way. So I'm not going to say about it being next week or today or whatever. It is when it is what it is, and you know, there's a deep level of acceptance available should we choose to embrace that. So why wouldn't we? Well, I've just been eating some crackers, and there's always a story behind the information that I get. I've just been eating, which is key itself, right? Absolutely, if you take anything from this video, there's always a story behind our ability to receive information, because that's how we translate it. So we are now being asked to almost expand, or not get rid of the story, but turn the chapter, turn the page, so that we can receive different types of information. And yes, it is going to be different types of information this week as well. So I've really felt that in my higher heart then, like a release, like a, oh, thank goodness. And actually we've all been waiting for this different form of language to come through, however that may come through for us. And I see some people, it's creativity, that's what it is. But I see some people painting, I see some people drawing, I see some people talking, may have thought that they wouldn't be talking. That brings me on to why this video is being done early in my timing, but obviously perfect timing, because on the Monday when I would have been filming the video, I will be doing a talk. I don't know how or what it will be about, but I will be doing a talk. So I need to do this now. And there's a few aspects there if we choose to look at it. So can we carry on doing what we're doing while we're talking? Can we, you know, communicate and balance our actions at the same time? Because this is Taurus new moon, okay, and it has got Jupiter as well. It's just expanding everything along the way. Why maybe we would not be able to? Really looking at what it is we need to consume. So prior to doing this video, I was eating some crackers and a dip, and I was really quite full up, and there was a little bit of dip left and a couple of crackers left, and it was not enough to save, but too much to throw away, too much to just, and I couldn't pack them away so they wouldn't go stale. Big conundrum, first world problems, right? In my house. So I found myself eating the crackers because they were broken. So because they were broken, I didn't think I could use them for anything else, but I didn't feel like I could throw them away either. And that's going to be key this week, to really look at what we're consuming and why we're consuming it, and whether we actually want it or whether we actually need to consume that. So yes, we are in the Taurus new moon, and you will be getting this video when it's right for you, but there's always an opportunity for things to be new in our actions and really grounding in that. So if we want change, everything we do on a minute scale is going to be coming up for reflection to look at how we can do things differently. How can we do things differently? So with me, I'm doing this reading early because it fits my energy, it fits my availability, it's convenient, more convenient for me. I'm not having to fight against the flow. And with the help and guidance of that intention, it's coming through just as it would any other day, even the day that it needed to be or will be shared out to you guys. So really, really looking at that this week and really ensuring that what we do, what we share, is adaptable, that we are adaptable, that we are flexible, that we can open up to what is being asked of us in that moment. Okay, there was something else about that, but it's gone. The moment I really feel into it too much this week, it goes. So really highlighting what it is we want information on this week is going to be key. Because as always, there's a truckload of it out there. Okay, so with that in mind, at the bottom of the pack we have judgment, but it feels key to say that it was at the bottom of the pack. Okay, so to place those judgments right underneath, or to look at the judgments that are right underneath anything that we are trying to bring in, anything that we are planting, anything that we are grounding ourselves into, because they really feel wishy-washy. I noticed that I think there's been some earth disturbances in Australia, and that is the solar plexus, it's the willpower, and it's the masculine, and it really feels like there's been a lot of recognizing that what we thought was stable wasn't as stable as we would have not even liked. It feels like a relief that it isn't that way. A lot of old stories that we're used to holding on to, but we're relieved that we don't have to. King of Pentacles at the bottom of the pack. That feels really applicable. I feel that in my crown. I feel that down the right side of my body. I almost see like the image of Phantom of the Opera here, like we've been covering a side of ourselves that we haven't wanted to show to the world, and being relieved. This is me. This is who I am. Warts and all. That's what that's saying. Warts and all. This is who I am, and the energy that we save by doing that can then go into projects that we've actually perhaps been avoiding yet yearning for. King of Wands at the bottom. Okay, so really that potential this week. Now my fingernails do have soil and dirt under them because I've been gardening, so I make no apologies, which feels like key. Make no apologies for what it is you have felt like you needed to do this week in order to plant and tend to your own landscape internally and externally. Okay, energies from, what are we, the 19th today, 20th, 21st, 22nd, of course, energies from the 22nd and how to best navigate them, please. Okay, so we have the Lovers at the bottom of the pack, and we do have that. I was thinking the 22nd is obviously the divine feminine, and we do have that mergence there of all aspects of ourselves, that sacred union, and choices that need to balance that, to support that, to advocate and empower that. Next week is going to be key. So Monday. 2 for Tuesday. Wednesday, there's a need to calm and to ground. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay. Overall, there's a sensation, it's a Four of Pentacles, but there was a sensation of wanting more, needing more, having to hold on to more, having to figure more things out. And yes, it's because the energy there is vast. There's a vast amount of energy there, but actually it doesn't mean that everything is for us. Okay, what we're feeling might not be for us. And it's really next week about learning what to let go of, learning what to no longer hold on to, what we're no longer being asked to hold on to. We can talk about things like ancestral healing and what we gain from it, and how to move forward and everything else. But one of the biggest things we can do is decide not to take certain aspects forward, because that heals us and those before us. That heals the stories, not just ours, but each other's and the collective. That is going to be key this week, the pivotal changing point this week. So on the Monday, speaking of pivotal changing point, on the 22nd, and it does feel in relation to the feminine, we have 2 female figures at the end of the week, and we have obviously it being the 22nd when I actually share this video. That feels like key. It's not about when you do something, it's about when and how you share it. So on the day that I'm doing the talk and not knowing what it is I'm doing, on it being on the 22nd, yes, we have the Tower card here, and we do have that lightning bolt moment of, and I want to say what what, and it's going to be different for everybody. That's the lightning bolt. That is the lightning bolt moment. And we know that everything is different for each other. We know that change is, an individual thing on how we cope with it, what we see as change, what we're being asked to change. We know that this is individual, but are we embodying that? Are we truly embodying that? So I'm going to do a talk on the 22nd, and I'm going to do a talk about what it is I do as a soul midwife. And my tagline is facilitating change, delivering potential. And that doesn't mean that I have a set way of doing it, because everybody is different. That feels like key this week, to recognize your role in creating change, to recognize how different it is from everybody else, to flow with that and not the rhythm of other people. And again, this is stuff that we know, but it feels like on the Monday there's a real, so obviously for me it will be the talk, but there's a real pivotal moment of, this is who I am. Okay, so when I share this video, when you guys are watching this, a pivotal moment of, this is who I am. And to embrace that, to open up to that, to let everything that isn't fall by the wayside, to crack ourselves open. We can be opened many, many ways, and it can be through heartbreak, and it can be through beauty, and it can be through joy, and to really look at where we allow ourselves to open to these energies. Because on the Tuesday we do have two cards. We have the Hierophant and the Knight of Wands. Now, the Knight of Wands, yes, finding our own beat, finding our own rhythm, that freedom of that. And the Hierophant saying, yes, you're a keeper of the sacred. Have fun with it, but don't forget that it's sacred. That you are sacred. That this energy that we are working with is creativity itself. I don't want to say that there will be consequences, but it feels like there's that kind of energy to either be aware of where we put that energy on ourselves, there will be karma, there will be consequences, or to be aware where we're not as respectful of that on the Tuesday. But ultimately to acknowledge that, hey, it's all steps towards the light that we are one way or another, and all about finding our own beat. Because on the Wednesday, that's where I felt like we really needed to ground. There was a bit of a wobble and a little bit of, I'd been okay with the energy, and then dish on the Wednesday it was, whoa, hang on a minute. And on the Wednesday we do have the Nine of Wands there. So we do have this, okay, I've done all of this, I've felt all of this, and what I hear is what, and what. Looking at what it is we are carrying, looking at what we are the beacon for, what we are radiating out, okay, and what. How is that impacting our lives? How is that affecting our lives? How are we embodying that? We can talk about change, but are we being that change? It's... So I'm stopping myself there. And not wanting to put across a judgment, but recognizing our own personal views, recognizing our own personal beliefs, and being okay with them, being authentic. Yes, authentic in who we are is the only boundary that we actually need. So what I was going to say is, I personally will not go to a healer or a alternative therapist that doesn't do their own regular practice. And that for me is a keeper of the sacred. That for me is recognizing the rhythm of who they are and ensuring that they're a good vessel of that, and taking themselves not seriously but sacredly. And for me, that is my judgment, my value. And it feels like key to recognize judgments and values, how fine a line there is, how too much sometimes they can be from a place of defense, but they can also be the barrier that, no, it's not the barrier, the efficiency that we're looking for, the boundary between where we are and where we want to be. So there's more to that. And I'm looking at the Lovers card here, and underneath it is the Queen of Swords, and I almost heard the door open. I was a bit nervous then that the door was going to open, that it was my son, and my right ear is now ringing. And we have the Five of Pentacles underneath. So a little bit of a mismatch energy on the Wednesday, and it's coming from a defensive energy, but it's also coming from recognizing that it might be okay to have judgments, actually, that they might be our very core values here, and to really recognize the difference, and that it's going to be different for us all. We don't all have to be the same, and what works for one might not work for another, and that's okay. It's more about what beacon of light are we shining out, and the further, harder, firmer we can stand in that, the less likely we are to wobble wobble, because it's necessary to be who we are. When we are who we are, when we are in our own flow, creativity comes with ease and grace. When we have self-mastery, work isn't work, it's a joy, right? It's a process in which we are completely open to all of our potential and change. Okay, and that is what we have on the Thursday. If we can stand in our own energy there, if we can flow there. So this is how I create. This is how I do readings. This is how I do healings. This is how I was as a midwife, being aware of so many different potentials and so many different things coming up. And it's not everybody's cup of tea, but this is how I personally work. And I do respect that for those that need that, that is what they will receive. Okay, and for those that don't, I'm not the person for them to come to. And on the Thursday, it is about acknowledging that, so that we don't put in extra additional unneeded work, but that we can really concentrate on who we are and what it is we are actually here to do on the Thursday. You know, every opportunity is a chance to master that. Okay, and it is about really deciding to let go of not being certain ways. So my whole life I would have suggestions that I need to ground, that I need to learn how to ground, and I would try and bring my energy down so low. I really would try. It didn't work for me because that wasn't my vibrational frequency, and we are all different. And this week is very much about letting go of the things that do not work for you, because they are taking up too much energy from where it is we're supposed to be and what it is we are supposed to be doing, not just in the future but even in the present. They're taking us away from happiness. Okay, they are the very difference between the Five of Pentacles and the card that we have on the Friday, which is the Ten of Cups. So on the Mayan medicine wheel, the rainbow bridge is the place where Otoronga comes, Jaguar, the physical tracker, the shadow, the egoic mind, the emotional mind, the ability to feel what works for us and what doesn't. And that is going to be key on Friday and the whole week, actually. Life, yes, life in general. What feels like the rainbow? Now, it's not to say that everything is always happy, but what if we are always happy when in everything? That doesn't mean that we're ignoring what's going on. That just means that we have peace with where we are and acknowledge our place in that present moment. What if happiness and everything else all goes hand in hand, and it's actually about how we navigate that fine line between what was and what is to come? It's how we walk the knife's edge. It's how we can travel our own egoic mind, our own intellectual emotions. Okay? What if it is all about our ability to be response-able? What if that is happiness? What if we have that huge strength? What if we become the lightning bolt rather than the tree that gets torn apart by it all? What if in the storm, in the eye of chaos, we become chaos itself? So this week, as you can see from the different angles and being able to get the whole perspective, and it being early and late and all the different times, it's chaos magic this week, and there's a huge potential there for those that know how to work it. Now, the only way to work chaos magic is to really connect to who you are, and it's that we're being reminded of on the Saturday. The King of Wands. Come back up. So this card appeared earlier. Come back up again to be recognized, and that is going to be key on Saturday. Anything that comes back up to be seen again is there to help us realize what we need to let go of, the changes that need to be put into place, so that we see how sacred our own rhythm is, our own light is, that we no longer need to have boundaries towards that. We can talk about boundaries with everybody else. What ones have we got in place with ourselves? What do we need to work on in order to bring that happiness in? It's going to come back up, in particular on the Saturday, to show us in our actions, because the King of Wands is obviously the masculine, so it's our actions. On the Sunday, breathe, pause, nurture. I'm actually running a sound bath on the Sunday, so this is just beautiful. We have the Queen of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles here. So all of these shifts, all of these changes, all of this fire coming in and being grounded and at peace with it. How do we nurture ourselves during these pivotal moments? I want to say pivotal moments of pleasure. So, what do we bring about to bring the balance? How do we ensure that we're not one-sided, that it isn't all low or isn't all high? How do we maintain our own equilibrium this week is going to be key, because that's the Lovers card. But at the bottom, on top of that, we have the Five of Pentacles, and it's this that's actually standing in the way. Okay, that constantly waiting to see who's at the door. Yeah, that looking outside for other answers and other explanations. Look up, find your own balance, find your own light, and make decisions based on this that are going to bring harmony for you, for your intuition, but also for your actions this week. So like myself with this video, it works for me doing it now. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm just going to check my phone. Okay, I asked my son when he's going to be home so he didn't interrupt the video, and he just said today. So keeping it light, my son has a wonderful way. He's a Pisces, and obviously being a Pisces, he does have potential to go so deep and to really, get lost almost in that depth, but he doesn't. He keeps it light. He actually keeps it quite sarcastic. Now I'm not suggesting obviously everybody be sarcastic this week, but take everything with a pinch of salt. It's that and what energy, okay? Fifth agreement, totally recommend it if you haven't read it. The 4 agreements are wonderful. To do your best, to be authentic with your word, to ask questions and never to assume, and they're a great solid base. Yeah, they are these four agreements here, but actually for me the one that really takes the biscuit, that puts the icing on the cake, that's the peak of the mountain, is the 5th agreement by not Don Helitio Panti, because that's who I do the room. I'll put the link in the comment. But really the 5th agreement is to be open but cynical. Okay, to take everything with a pinch of salt, ourselves included, this week is really, really going to be key, because it does have the potential for some really great, deep emotional healing. But you don't want to get caught up in that. Otherwise it's going to be quite, I see like vines of a jungle just entangling us. You don't want to get caught up in the healing. Just observe it for the sacred process that it is, or find someone that can hold space while you do. Okay, so with that in mind, let's move the major arcanas. Now I want to move them out of the equation, which is interesting. We'll just do it all on our own. We don't need support from the universe. And underneath there's the 7 of Wands, so it's like, yes, I'm good, thank you, I don't need that. And that's where that defensiveness can come in, and it can come from an inbuilt reaction, and it can come from that it has worked this thus far. Now I can really relate to that, but actually the world is going to give you what you need. The world is going to give you what has to happen. So there's nothing right or wrong with saying, actually, can I have help with that then? So if this is happening, can I have some help with that? Okay, and that's going to be the pivotal, I need to take that on board myself, that's going to be the pivotal tower moment here. I can see the Hierophant just laughing back at me. The pivotal tower moment here is about learning our connection to our own divinity, learning our place here in Eden, because we have the tower, we have the keeper of the sacred, which is the Hierophant, and we have the lovers. So what have we discovered? Nearly up to this 666 portal, 666 portal. We are being asked, what have we discovered about ourselves and the landscape that we are creating internally and externally? Of course, we enter Gemini season. Really releasing what needs to be said now, what communication needs to be heard now for ourselves and for others, lightening it up a little bit, okay, and really looking at how we perceive our relationship with the divine, what divinity is, how we perceive our relationship with it. Is the divine here and us here, or are we here? Are we the 5 of Pentacles right down here, or are we, right up here, or do we have no connection at all? But really looking at that this week, and looking at any decisions or choices or changes that may need to happen from that perspective. Okay, you are not alone. None of us are alone. We don't need to do this alone. And it's almost like I feel like loads of people just stood there waiting to offer help, and just quite a boundary there. Okay, so why? Well, we have the 4 of Pentacles, the 8 of Pentacles, and the Queen of Pentacles. Not everything has been as nurturing as we would have liked it. Not every physical response has been the one that we would like. And, we've had to be careful. We've had to be careful with our money. We've had to be careful with our physical health. We've had to be careful with our businesses. It feels like a lot of things have been hidden almost for us to be ready, for us to be grounded and able to hold space for what is actually being asked of us, for the work, for the mastery that is there. We've had to nurture ourselves in order to recognize what nurture is and what nurture we need. Okay, because if we base what nurture we need on what someone else is able to give us, there will always be a lack there, because only we know what we need. And I cannot stress this enough, guys. Only we know what we need, but it is about really connecting and finding that knowing within. And any help that we seek this week is to facilitate that, is to hold space for that, is to empower that, not to take that empowerment away from you, but to help you master who you are and really nurture that and become grounded in your sense of self this week. There's 3 of them, which is creativity and a great opportunity for birth there physically. But it is about seeking out help, but ensuring that that help is actually helping. This is a mic drop. Okay, we then have wand cards. We have 4 wand cards. So we've gone from 3 to 4. So it's like a pyramid scheme. Be very aware of pyramid schemes this week. You know, if you're in doubt, things are what they seem, and to really, really listen to that. Okay. Especially in particular with sales, documents that need signing. If you're not sure, then, you know, if in doubt, don't, you know. We have 4 wand cards here, and it's really about connecting to your own spirit here. So when we want something, when we need something, we can ask for help and something can come in and we can automatically think that is exactly what we need. And sometimes it is, but that's based on where we see ourselves at. So when an offer is made this week, really see where you're at, really see if that resonates with you, really see if that matches where you are now, not where you were or where you would like to be, but where you are now. So for argument's sake, you know, I've been looking into doing masters in counselling, and although I could get a space, oh my gosh, I can't physically. And that's horrible to acknowledge, but it's true. It's true. Physically, I'm not there yet. Okay, so really, you may find that there's places that you're not there yet. Having compassion for yourself, you may find that there's places you really are ready for and you're holding yourself back. Because we have 4 wands here. We have the Knight of Wands, the 9 of Wands, the King of Wands and the Queen of Wands. And I want to put them together in order to ensure that our masculine and intuitive actions are balanced here. I can see the masculine almost moving out the way for the feminine. So this week really feels like an intuitive week, not from a place of having to defend who we are energetically or spiritually, but just by letting go and letting God. That's what I hear. But by letting go and going with the flow of this fire, not holding ourselves back. And it's not our actions here. Our actions are taking a step to one side. It's our feminine. How has our feminine been holding ourselves back? It's one thing to know something, it's another thing to act on it. Really, really being aware of that this week. There's more to that, and I can't quite figure that out, and that feels like key. Okay, it feels like key because the other card that we have, the cup card, is the 10 of Cups. We're coming to the end of what once made us happy, and it's like there's more I need to figure out. And yes, there's a soul hunger there. You're not yourself when you're hungry, right? There's a soul hunger there. So really feeling into that this week and really allowing that feminine yearning to rise in order to match the offers that are waiting to be conceived here. So, you know, instead of downplaying what it is we want, instead of refusing to feel what makes us happy, instead of placating. So a lot of the times people will, from a gratitude perspective, want something and think, oh, but I'm really grateful for such and such, and then they downplay what they want. Well, actually they work together. Remember, endings and beginnings come hand in hand. So in order to get that Ace of Cups, that heart-opening experience, we need to let go of what once made us happy. That's not to say let go as in it doesn't anymore, or to lose something. And that's a big lesson I know I'm actually re-evaluating this week. It's not to say we're losing something. We're opening up to the next level of that. Okay, we're opening up our senses. So for me, sixth sense is all of the 5 senses but enhanced. And this week we're being asked to enhance what makes us happy, to open it all to the next level. When we have portals, we talk about taking people through portals, energies through portals, lessons through portals. What about taking everything that makes us happy through portals as well? You know, all those things that we're yearning for, keeping their vibration high rather than not wanting to yearn for them or trying to figure them out. Let's keep them pure and simple this week in regards to what it is we want. Okay, so we're going to have one card overall, and then that's it. I'm calling it quits. Interesting. Okay. One card overall for the energies next week. Okay, so that's not going to work because some people are going to watch this next week and think energies next week. Okay, so one card. If there was one thing we could say to our current self, I can't let go of those three. I couldn't let go of those three. Okay, so the only way to move forward, regardless where it is in our time span here, emotionally, individually and collectively, is to ground into who we are, what it is we offer, and our physical body, to really flow with our own emotional energy, to grow from that perspective. And I can carry on down there on the left hand side with the intuitive cards, and it does feel like once that intuition is open this week, it flows, dush, 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 which is the one thing if we could say to ourselves at any point in our lives, it would be: trust yourself, you're going to be okay. Trust yourself, you're going to know what to do. Trust yourself, you're going to get through this. And it's that intuitive wisdom this week is the one thing to take forward. So based on that, we don't need to go any deeper into that, but select the cards that we got in the first place, which is the Sun, the Ace of Cups and the Two of Wands. So in those moments of stillness, enjoy them. Enjoy them. Open up to the moments of stillness and the light available. You know, in those moments of wanting and yearning, what happens? Our heart opens. We see our potential. I'd really like to achieve such and such, because actually what we're doing is opening to the energy of who we are. Okay, so we might want a relationship, yes, but underneath that relationship we want love. Okay, so we're being guided to open to love. We might want a home, but underneath that home we want comfort and security and stability. So we're being guided to open to that grounded need in our body. Underneath it all, what is coming to light in those moments of not quite being ready to move forward, in those moments of sitting and waiting, with the Queen of Cups at the bottom? That's nearly all the Queen of Queens this week. Underneath it all, taking a moment to feel, what is it you're actually yearning for? Resonate with that. Take that energy through the 6-6 portal. So from now until then, really start practicing. Okay, so I want to feel love, so let yourself feel love. I want to feel safe and secure, so let yourself feel safe and secure. I want to feel happy, so let yourself feel happy. Our feelings are our own, and we are the guides, the bearers, the vessel of them. Take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.